Hello, welcome to this episode of TB3 Sports, episode 40. Big number, big milestone for us.
Big number 40, huh?
I mean, if I was turning 40, that's a pretty old age. So.
Yeah.
Big old 40, we're here.
We're getting to the numbers where if you turn that age, you'd feel really bad about.
Yeah.
I guess 30 is kind of one of those numbers, too. Depends.
I mean, 40, that's when, I think your testosterone goes.
That's true. But
I don't know, I'm nowhere near there.
Neither of us are. Yeah, But, when you turn 30, I think you feel pretty bad about turning 30. But then you feel worse about turning 40, and so on and so forth. But, yeah, this is episode 40. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys are on YouTube, hit the like button. Leave a comment. Joel, what are we thinking about? What do we want them to comment?
Comment your thoughts on how the Rays are up to this point in the season, because we're recording on Sunday. So Monday is Memorial Day. That's oftentimes used as baseball fans as one of those checkpoints to look at your team, see how they're playing. Just give a word, give 2 words, say, we suck, we're fine, second halves, just something nice, short, brief, but packing enough of a punch to where we know how you're feeling.
Even if you want to, give the Rays a grade up until Memorial Day. Yeah.
That's how they do it on these podcasts, I guess.
We're a big grading podcast. We do it.
Yeah.
We do it. So, yeah, give your grade of the Rays 2024 season up into Memorial Day. Yeah. Because that's a big checkpoint for the Rays. And fortunately, coming up to this checkpoint, the Rays were struggling hard. Last week, Joel wasn't here. He goes away, and in typical, Rays fashion, Joel's not in Tampa Bay. The Rays don't play well.
And, I thought by the time I came back on Friday, I was going to have solved that, but no, they lost 2-3 to the Royals. So I guess that's not the case anymore, so.
Yeah, so if you guys didn't know, this is coming out on Monday. Yeah, I don't know either. This is coming out on Monday, but the Rays went on a 6-game losing streak. It started last Sunday when we actually were recording. Alek Manoah had his best game since 2022 against the Rays, went 7 shut piece, and the Rays were, they were feeling fine. They take 2 out of 3 in Toronto, 3 out of 4 in Fenway. You're feeling fine. They got 3 more against Boston, and I'll get into it because these games were not good. This was a lot of losses in a row, unfortunately, for the Rays. It kind of seems like as the Rays take a few steps forward, they take even more steps back, unfortunately, right now as the season has progressed. So, Monday, we have Taj Bradley versus Tanner Houck. This was a pitching matchup from the previous week. The Rays were able to pull out that game in Fenway. However, it did not go as good here as Taj Bradley looked dominant through the first 3 innings, showing some nasty stuff. However, the long ball bit him. In the 4th inning, Boston got on the board with a 2-run double from Wilyer Abreu, and then Rafael Devers, who was scalding hot coming into this game, hit a 2-run home run to make it 3-0. Then the following inning, the top of the 5th, Rafaela from the Red Sox, I can't say his first name, I don't even try it, hit a 2-run home run as well to make it 5-0 Red Sox, and unfortunately the Rays offense did not come to play. That was the theme of this week, and they didn't score a single run off Tanner Houck and company. The Rays would lose this one 5-0 to drop the series opener, but however, you still have a chance to take this series. You got to come back strong, and they did, starting off in this Tuesday game where you had Zach Littell facing off against Cooper Criswell. In the first inning of this game, the Rays came out hot. Isak Paredes got a 2 RBI single to make it 2-0 Rays. However, the offense went silent after that. A theme of this week, like we just mentioned, Rays offense goes silent. That is the only 2 runs they would score this game. Zach Littell was pretty good. I think we'll get into him. He ended up going 5 2/3. He would give up 2 earned runs, unfortunately, to tie the game. First run would be Von Grisham, RBI single, and then Jarren Duran, who just absolutely torments us, would get a home run in the top of the 6th to tie it. And then, unfortunately, Mr. Old Reliable, Jason Adam, comes in and he gives up 2 earned runs. First runs he's given up in a while, it feels like. I think that's just true. He hasn't given up many runs this year, but he gives up 2 to Boston, highlighted by a really sloppy play. Brandon Lau, there was a runner trying to steal second, 1st and 3rd situation. Alex Jackson throws through. Brandon Lau could have simply just tagged the runner right behind him. Instead, he tries to throw home to cut down the runner at home. It does not work. They get an extra run. Gives them a 4-2 lead. And then in the top of the ninth, they would get a pat-on run. Reese McGuire would hit a solo home run to make it 5-2, and that would be your score. The Rays would drop this one 5-2.
I think this game specifically, sorry to stop you.
Yep.
This is kind of where it all went. The downhill beginning happened here. You start with the lead, you have it up into the sixth inning, you blow it, and now you've lost the series, and you're done. You're done.
I agree.
Yeah, kid.
I mean, you come out of that first inning, you get 2, you look great, and then Cooper Criswell shuts you down, and it kind of that's when it feels like you're in a rut. It feels like this is starting to become a real thing in a losing streak. It would have felt a lot less bad if the Rays could have avoided the sweep. So I guess we'll see. They did not, though. In the second inning of this game, we had Brian Bayo versus Ryan Pepio making his return to the rotation after getting hit by a line drive against New York Mets. And the Rays would take the lead in this one, too, a 3-0 one. After the second inning, Jose Caballero would drive in 2 with an RBI single, and then Yandy Diaz would get an RBI ground out, 3-0 Rays. However, in the fifth inning, it started to get bad. Ryan Pepio would be bounced after not recording out in the fifth inning. It's his first game it happens. However, the Red Sox would capitalize and score 5 runs in the fifth inning to take a 5-3 lead. Really, really tough stuff. And then they would keep adding on. In the sixth, Jarren Duran and Willie Abreu, the young Stugs, would add on 3 more runs to make it 8-3 Boston. The Rays would try to kind of scratch and claw. They would get a run in the 7th inning, but they would leave a bunch of men stranded. Yandy Diaz would hit a Chris Paul, is this the dagger, home run in the 9th inning to make it 8-5, but that would be your final score. The Rays lose this one 8-5 and get swept by Boston. And then they host a team that's red hot, the Kansas City Royals, who are surprising a lot of teams. Friday night, we had TB3 correspondents in the building right here.
To get the skateboard.
Got the skateboard right here, so it's a cool piece of memorabilia, but that was about the only cool thing about this Friday night game. This game was started by Sean Armstrong, who opened, did a really good job, and then Tyler Alexander, who gave up 8 earned runs in this game. Coming off a near-perfect game, he reverted back to some bad stuff. 8 earned runs for Tyler Alexander. The Rays would only muster up 1 run, and that was a Jonathan Aranda ground out in the first inning. And the Rays would lose this one 8-1. Nothing much else to say about this one.
It was boring to watch in person as it was on TV or on the radio.
Hey, man, I was there talking to people, man. I wasn't even watching the baseball game.
We didn't have the best seats, and there was no reason to move somewhere better. So we were like, I guess we're just here.
We're just here. It was a social gathering. It was
get the skateboarding go night.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I'm glad we had a big group of people there. Or if it was a small group, or if it was just me, that would have been, just an abysmal game to go to. A
lot of Rays fans leaving.
Yeah.
Come on, Rays fans. I know you hear it all the time, but do better.
June 29th, Trop wide out. Be there. And then the Rays look to snap their losing streak and get a game against the Royals. On Saturday, we would have Brady Singer facing off against Aaron Savali. Aaron Savali would have a decent game, give up 2 earned runs through 5 innings, but these 2 earned runs would give the Royals a 2-0 lead heading into the 4th. However, in the 4th inning, the bottom of it, Jonathan Aranda would hit his first home run of the season, a booming shot to make it 2-1 Royals, and then Isaac Perez would get a ground out RBI style to make it 2-2. However, the Royals would take the lead back 3-2 in the top of the 7th, but the Rays would tie it right back up. Harold Ramirez would get an RBI single. However, with bases loaded, 1 out, Yandy Diaz would ground into a double play to kill the rally and keep the game tied. That turns out to be a big moment. We would head 3-3, headed into extras. On top of the 10th, the Royals would score on a sacrifice fly to make it 4-3. The Rays would tie it back up, though. 2 outs, 2 strikes. Johnny DeLuca, a huge double down the line. The Rays would not be able to walk it off, though. And then in the top of the 11th, the Rays started to implode. The Royals would get 3 runs, and the Rays were not able to muster a run in the bottom of the 11th. They would lose this one 7-4. Headed into Sunday to just try and salvage a game on this week, on this series. And it didn't look good. Taj Bradley started this game off against Michael Wacha. Both pitchers looked really good to start. Taj Bradley only went through 5 because of a high pitch count, but he only gave up 1 hit and 3 walks, so really good stuff from Taj Bradley, only in 0 earned runs. However, Bobby Witt would get a solo home run to put the Royals on the board 1-0 in the top of the 6th. But in the bottom of the 7th, the Rays put their foot down, bases loaded, 1 out, Brandon Lau pinch hit situation, and he triples down the right field corner to clear the bases and bring in 3 runs. 3-1 Rays as the score, and then Jose Siri would add on with the RBI single to bring in Brandon Lau. 4-1 Rays, and the score would hold. A little scary ninth for Pete Fairbanks, but no harm, no foul. The Rays,
interesting.
It's keeping things interesting. Rays finally win 4-1 to take one game on the week, but go 1-5 overall.
I mean, I guess it's good we're ending this on a happy note, but it was the Rays have been subpar mediocre lately, but this week they were just all around bad. And one of the saddest things, too, just going back in the recap, is realizing how many of these games we started out with a lead. It may have been small, it may have been mid-sized, but each and every time it feels like we blew the lead to some capacity.
Yeah, I mean, this is so frustrating. This is so frustrating to see. You go last week, you have 2 AL East teams on the road, and you go 5-2. It's your best road trip of the year. You're feeling good. You have a great moment with Johnny DeLuca in Toronto. You have a near-perfect game. The bullpen was great last week, and you're feeling good. The lineup was hitting, and you're like, wow, this is what the Rays can be. This is a team that they're blossoming into. And then you come to this week, and just the wheels fell off the truck, man. I don't know exactly what happened, but everything seemed to go wrong this week. I don't know what stuck out to you first of like what was the worst part, but it all seemed to go bad.
I don't want to sound like one of those guys, but I'll sound like one of those guys for a second. The Rays over the last couple of years, maybe in the last 2 or 3 years, I feel like 2 of those 3 years, there were stats out there where it said like the Rays are way better on the road. Why is that? That'd be like the headline of your article or your video. And then the answer would always be, oh, well, it's the Trop crowd. The Trop crowd's just not invigorating enough for them to be able to play their best baseball there. And I now sit here and say, hey, maybe that was what this homestand was.
I can't disagree because the best home record we ever had was last year. Our home record was great, and I think you would agree with this. I think the crowds in 2023 were some of the best home crowds other than the playoffs ever. I mean, I went to plenty of games last year, just regular season games, Saturday, Friday, and those games were packed out, and they were lively. I mean, went to some Red Sox and went to some Yankees games. There was plenty of Rays fans there, and there were lively crowds, and the Rays were dynamite in the Trop last year. And as the Rays have kind of started off slow, the Trop has kind of lost that spark and that fire, unfortunately. And it just, I don't think it's a outlandish thing to say that the crowd isn't helping the Rays, at least at this point.
And that's not a fair reason for them to be stinking. Like, look at the Oakland Athletics. Like, there's 552 people at the game, so so far, I think they have a winning record right now. So it's not the reason.
Not quite a winning record, but yes, they have a better record than people expected. So
yeah, so that doesn't play into everything, but it is just one of those things. It's one of the spots you have to look and say, hey, I wonder what's going on there. Like, is that part of it? Like, I would imagine if you were to go into the locker room and ask some of the guys, that may come up.
Yeah, I agree. I think as we get into the games, I mean, I'm down to start starting pitching. If you're down to start starting pitching, starting pitching, I think I can start with the worst start of the week. It was actually a bulk appearance. It was Tyler Alexander. This guy gave up 8 earned runs in about, I think it was 4 or 5 innings. And, 8 earned runs, and he gave up his league-leading 12th home run. He is number 1 in baseball, tied for it, giving up 12 home runs, the most out of any pitcher in baseball. And it's just frustrating to see him have such a good game in Toronto and then go back to mediocrity. And unfortunately, Zach Eflin landed on the IL this week, so we're going to have to – and Shane Baz is in Durham right now, not ready to return just yet. Hopefully looking to see him in 2 or 3 weeks. So I think we're going to have to be stuck with Tyler Alexander for at least two or 3 more starts. So it would be nice to see Tyler Alexander give us 3 or 4 quality innings at least.
Yeah, and you kind of expect that as a guy like him knows, like, all right, I'm going to the bullpen, I'm going to my couch in the next couple weeks. Like, I got to give it my all. That start that he had last time, that was pretty crushing. It was like, okay, that's the Tyler Alexander we all know and love. Like, whatever we saw with that good spot, that was just a little blip in the mirror.
Man, that game was special though.
It was.
It was awesome.
It's the Rays though. Like, It's just like even with that Baltimore game years ago, like I was like, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
Man, people were forgetting about that. Well,
the radio forgot about that game so much.
Yes, you're talking about the combined one, right? Not the Drew Rasmussen one. You're talking about the combined one.
Yeah, we lost it with like 1 out.
Yes.
Yeah. I forgot about it too.
We were watching it at Applebee's.
Yep. Yeah.
I remember that. Because I don't know where, but people were like, is this the closest since the Drew Rasmussen one, which, if you guys don't know, Drew Rasmussen was perfect through 8 innings against Baltimore. I think it was 2022. That was a crazy performance. But I'm pretty sure, if I'm correct, the Rays got 8 1/3 perfect innings from a combined game. It was Ryan Stanek and Ryan Yarbrough got through 8 1/3 perfect innings in Baltimore, in Camden Yards.
Man, we own Baltimore.
Yeah, back when they were bad. But yeah, that was... So the Rays had some close calls.
We've almost touched the sun, but we've flown too close.
The Rays got a no-hitter in 7 innings in 2021, though. How do you feel about that?
I hate that.
No, it's so dumb.
I wish that they could have been like, all right, keep going.
Yeah,
keep
honestly,
going.
I'm with you, man. It's
like that back when they had that rule, that would have been pretty cool. Like, only in the event of a no-hitter, you keep going.
It's like no-hitter or someone needs to get the cycle.
Because they only had that for a year or two. That rule stunk.
Yeah. It was COVID, man. They were just trying to get rid of the games, and I think some people thought that the players were going to love it because
I think their intention was to keep that.
I think so too. I think they thought the players were going to love it because they played less, but all the players hated it because it ruined their routine and stuff like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, bad start from Alexander. Aaron Savali, decent start yesterday, recording on Sunday, if you remember. 5 innings, 2 earned runs. He actually got through the 5th inning with only about 70 pitches. I mean, this is a game, I'm not going to lie, I missed a lot of it because I was working. But I think he looked pretty decent from when I saw 5 innings, 2 earned runs, gets through that 5th inning, keeps the Rays in the game. So I guess a positive sign for Aaron Savali.
It would be nice for him to build off of this, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're comparing, like, Aaron Savali to, hey, Aaron Savali had a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Like, I'll take that. It's Aaron Savali. That was all right.
At this point.
Especially this season, yeah.
Yeah, at this point, you're taking 5 innings, 2 earned runs from Aaron Savali.
I mean, I take that every night.
I would take that from anyone.
Like, I feel like that's the Aaron Savali we traded for, was a 5 or 6 innings under 2 runs.
Yeah. It'd be nice to see.
That would be nice to have. It'd be nice to have that back.
Yeah, get him through 6 though too.
Yeah.
Get him through 6, but I agree.
I don't know that he ever really went that long. I think that's part of the reason why his stats look so good when we traded for him last year.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, and you can see. I mean, there was like a 3-4 game stretch where it was Aaron Savali's worst enemy was the 5th inning. He was 4 2/3 every single time.
I mean, some guys are just built that way. You're not seeing the lineup 3 times.
Yep, Blake Snell.
Yeah, isn't he doing really good this year?
No,
Glasnow is then.
Glasnow is doing really good this year, but it's fine because the pieces we got back are doing good.
It's hard to keep track of this distant family.
It's
one of those former Rays pitchers looking like Cy Young this year. Oh, it's him.
Well, that was Blake Snell got it last year. He got the Cy.
Yeah.
And then, he's been injured. I think he came back this week. I don't know. So solid from Mr. Savali. That's his name. Ryan Pepio came back 4 innings. He was on a short leash. Kind of got some unlucky stuff happen to him in that Red Sox game. I don't know if you saw the play. It was on Wednesday. I think you were flying. Mm-hmm. But the straw that broke the camel's back in that game was basically there was a ball hit to the gap, but it had some air under it. And what happened was Randy's in right field, and he was running to his shift like as the ball was being pitched. So he was running, and he had to switch directions for the ball, like mid pitch and hit. And I don't know if he would have ran that ball down. I don't think he would have, but it was a very odd play.
I saw the replays of it. That is one of those moments where it's like, is this Pee-wee? Is this like a baseball
Seriously,
movie? Where you're like putting together the bad spots to prove the point?
Yeah, it's like we're just like can't remember that we have to move for different batters to their shifted spot. He might have ran that down. I don't even know. That was a weird play. He got some walks, and then obviously had a short leash. Unfortunately, Kevin Kelly came in, and he did not do well. Gave up 2 earned runs in that inning. Kind of just sucks. That Boston was a sloppy series, but just too many errors. Both games. I mean, we had a play where you throw the ball and it just literally bounces out of Yandy Diaz's mitt, like just flat out. And they ended up building a big inning. I think that was the inning after where they got from 5-3 to 8-3 was off that error. So the defense is not helping out the starting pitching right now whatsoever.
Yeah. It's been trending that way over the last few years. Like, I feel like in conversations with friends, there's been those moments where I've said, like, this isn't Rays baseball. Like, Rays baseball, the defense is good. And what's the player that plays like a bunch of positions? He's been hurt all season. He's just like shortstop, can do third base.
Taylor Walls.
Like, I feel like last year, especially with Taylor Walls, I'd be like, what happened to the Rays defense? I thought Taylor Walls was good. So the Rays defense has for a couple of years. I feel like there's been some moments where it's like, oof, the Rays defense is not the Rays defense.
Yeah,
more often than in the past. Like in the early 2010s, it was like the Rays defense knows how to do it.
I would agree with you. I think it really started second half of last year.
Yeah.
I remember first half defense was dynamite last year. You had guys like Walls and Bethancourt playing a lot, and they were actually hitting, so you could just put your best defenders out there, and they were hitting, so it was weird. But as those guys started to cool off, because that's just what they do, they're not hot hitters, the defense started to steadily decline, and then this year the defense has been abysmal, man. Just not good. I know, but even the players, to me, that I think are good defenders are not doing a good job. I mean, we just mentioned Yandy Diaz, I think, was Gold Glove caliber last year, defensive-wise. He has made some sloppy errors. Isaac Paredes has not been as good as he was last year in third base. Jose Siri, not as good as he was last year in the outfield.
Hardly playing.
Yeah. So, and I mean, even Randy. I mean, you remember all the flashy catches he gets, and I mean, he did have a good defensive play. And I think for the most part he does good, but that error that we just talked about, not going to your right spot, that was Randy. He went to the wrong spot. That could have cost us. It could have cost us the whole game if that ball could have been caught if he wasn't running to the wrong spot. So.
It's just not good that we're having a conversation about how bad the defense is. Like in the past, it'd be a game here or there would be pretty bad, but like you didn't talk about it because there was 5 or 6 other good games that week. So lately, we've been to the point where it's like, okay, like the defense is something we've been talking about, and now we have to talk about it.
Yeah, and the defense is something we have to talk about multiple episodes in a row. Like these mental blunders, this isn't the first time we're talking about it. This is 3-4 weeks. I mean, me and Will last week, we were talking about how much the Rays have improved because there were still mental blunders in their games last week when they were winning, and we were like, early on in the season, those would have turned out to be a 2-5 week instead of 5-2, and then it comes back to bite us this week. You know what I mean? So it's just the blunders have got to stop for the Rays. They're beating themselves way too often. Yeah,
we say this like. They have to have at least 2 or 3 of the aspects of their game working, and if they're beating themselves, they have to have 3. They have to have everything working. It's like defense. Defense is a given. Like pitching, hitting, that has to be happening. Defense is a given for the Rays if they want to be successful.
Yeah, I agree. I think there were some positive things from the starting pitching this week. Zach Littell had another really decent start. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get through the 6th inning. Jaron Duran hit a bomb off of him. That guy has murdered us this year. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to get through the 6th. It would have been awesome if he could have kept the lead going through the 6th inning and had with that lead, it would have maybe helped the bullpen be a little tighter coming in. But at the end of the day, the Rays scored 2 in the 1st inning and didn't even scratch scoring position for the rest of the game. So like whose fault is it on? It's not his. But 5 2/3 innings pitched for Zach Littell. 3 hits, 7 strikeouts. He did a really good job navigating that Boston lineup, who was playing pretty well going into that game. So good on him. I think it was just another really decent start from Zach Littell. Nothing extraordinary, but very good enough to win by far, not even close. Another guy that, unfortunately, against Boston, Taj Bradley got bit by the long ball, but he did go 7 innings. And then you look at today, Taj Bradley looked amazing today. I mean, 5 innings pitched, 1 hit, 3 balls, 6 strikeouts, 0 earned runs. He looked dominant. I mean, out of those 2 guys, who really stuck out to you? Littell, Bradley, someone else? Who are you thinking?
I'd probably say Bradley, just coming back from this injury, getting things back into gear today was a very encouraging sign, especially with Eflin going down. Now we can lean into Taj a little bit more as the season progresses, knowing we have at least one stable horse going for us. Yeah. And another thing, Is it Pistachio? What's the pitcher's name that we just came back? Patel.
Littell?
No, the guy who was hurt. Pepio.
Yes.
I had to work
Pistachio.
Pistachio, one of my favorite ice cream flavors. Patel. It was
Pepio.
Pepio. Names. Excuse me. Pepio. I'm glad he's back in the timetable that they gave us. Like I was like, all right, maybe September. Well, so let's hope. Let's hope. So it is very nice to see him back, and it kind of gives me hope that some of these other guys that we're saying are coming back could come back in the timetables that have been given.
That's a great point. I completely agree. I mean, Ryan Pepio didn't even have to go to Durham. He was back quick enough where he just came back up and pitched his last game as a Ray and his next game as a Ray. So that was really encouraging to see. His stuff looked good. Just short leash, good offense. It was a losing streak. Everything was going wrong. That's what happened on Wednesday night for him. Going back to Taj Bradley, though, since he's come up, he's pitched in 4 games so far. He has a 0.91 whip. So if you guys are new, whip is walks, hits per innings pitched. So to have, as a starting pitcher, to have less than 1 base runner per inning on average is amazing. So even if you look at that game where he gave up 5 earned runs, that's just kind of luck of the draw. It's baseball. You get bit by the long ball sometimes. But to have a sub-1 whip right now in 4 starts, this is kind of Taj Bradley looking and showing us that he's not only going to be a 3 or 4 starter. To me, right now, I mean, I don't know if I trust anyone more on the Rays staff right now than Taj Bradley to get a game. Like I think he could potentially, you could call him your ace right now as you're looking for injuries and just the way people are playing. So Bradley and Littell continue to pitch good. I mean, good to see Savali have a solid outing. Definitely want to see a little bit better from Alexander because we're just going to need it. We're going to need it it's unfortunate. I didn't really see this Eflin IL thing coming, but he was kind of getting knocked around, so maybe an IL stint would help him.
This is just a rest IL stint for him.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like I was talking to my brother, I think the Rays are kind of picking up on the Lightning system where they're just like, we don't want to cut anybody right now. Let's just have a 27-man roster, and they'll just put somebody on the IL.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's other teams doing that as well, but it's just I think the Rays are kind of picking up on that.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of theories going around, at least from the people that I know that are Rays fans. When Eflin went to the IL, it was kind of like, oh, he's going to the IL because the Rays got a trade in the works, which is very possible. We know where the roster stands with the Rays. They have too many infielders. Someone in the names of Richie or Rosario or Brandon Lau or Harold. Who am I missing? Aranda. One of those guys is an odd man out at the moment. So it could be a thing for rest for Zach Eflin, or it could be a thing of we're trying to find the right guy to trade Harold for.
Package deal or something?
Maybe. I know the Braves are interested in Zach Eflin.
Eflin's going. Okay. I mean, I did hear that.
Or just Eflin's down while they try to find someone to trade Brandon Lau to, or someone to trade Harold Ramirez to, someone like that. You know,
okay.
It could be either one of those because the Rays were, up until Josh Lowe got hurt, the Rays were playing with an extra position player. They were playing down one thing to make sure everyone was on the roster.
That makes me even wonder if Josh is hurt.
Maybe, yeah. I think at this point,
it's like this is a little smelly. It smells like something.
It smells like something for sure. There's gonna be something. The Rays, there's gonna be something. The Rays have so many players in their pipeline right now that are MLB ready players, pitchers or position players. So it smells fishy to me.
I don't mind it though. Like if there's a new technique in baseball, I want the Rays to be the first to it. So.
Amen. That's what makes the Rays the Rays.
It's like now, let's move our fencing, Yankee Stadium depth. Let's start hitting some long balls, and we're fixed. Problem solved.
Yeah. I think that's good for starting pitching. We could go. I feel like the bullpen, the Rays were kind of like losing all these games. The bullpen was kind of an afterthought, but we could bang them out real quick. Richard Lovelady, the guy we acquired from the Cubs last week, did not have a good week as his first week as a Ray.
I was thinking about him this week. If you were to say, like, the Loveladies are coming over to my house.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's like, well,
I just want to talk to him. Like, what was that like growing up?
Yeah.
The Loveladies are coming over.
Oh, we're going to the Loveladies.
Yeah.
That, interesting. Yeah.
Food for thought.
It's a cool name. I like it. Not cool the way he's pitching, though. 4 innings, 4 earned runs for him. A couple of these earned runs were in the extra inning game yesterday against the Royals that were kind of backbreaking, unfortunately. He gave up some backbreaking runs against Boston, that one game where they scored 5 in that inning. He came in after Kevin Kelly. So, yeah, not the stuff we're looking to see from our newly acquired reliever. But he's a lefty specialist. I'm assuming he doesn't have any options left. The Rays are going to kind of let him figure it out. They traded for him, so that's something. Phil Maton, 3 innings pitched, 0 earned runs this week. Pete got the save today. I think today's save, the Royals got some lucky hits. Like that guy bounced it up the middle and he just beat it out. The other guy kind of just slapped it the other way. So I'm not really worried about Pete. He got some base runners, but that happens. He looked pretty good. His velocity was still up.
It's not really something to worry about either because it's kind of just been the way it's been going this season.
Yeah, true.
Like it's just hey, 3 out of 4 times he's probably gonna figure it out, so we're fine.
Yeah, I think he's 5 for 5 since coming back, or 5 for 5 at least scores innings, so that's good. Jason Adam blows his first inning in a while. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But it's the life of the reliever. Unfortunately, you come in and you do great, and we're like, oh, you did what you're supposed to do, and then when you blow it, we're all like, you stink. You're the worst person I've ever met. That's just kind of
it's a tough role in baseball.
It's a tough role.
If you do 4 out of 5 starts good, like we're gonna notice that 5th start, but you have a 2 ERA with that in mind.
It's tough. It's tough to be a reliever. I don't know if I could do it mentally.
I'd be too stressed. I don't have that kind of pressure handling.
Yeah, Kevin Kelly, decent this week. Nothing to write home about. Nothing really out of any. I will say Sean Armstrong looked really good when he opened that game we went to. That was the best pitching we saw all game. He I don't know. Just bullpen was decent this week, but they really, in the big moments, they kind of faltered, and then there wasn't a lot of big moments because the Rays were down.
The Saturday game going into overtime or extra innings, that was an unfortunate game for the bullpen.
Yeah, it is what it is. I guess that Clevenger gave up a run for the first time in a while in that Saturday game.
Huh.
Which is, I think he got a little wild, walked a couple men, so happens. But that's crazy. Clevenger. So it is, man, everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong this week.
Yeah. I was pulling for that Saturday game so hard. Just listening to it on the radio, it just wasn't meant to be.
It just wasn't meant to be. As for, the Rays also had a 4.37 team ERA last week, which was like towards the bottom third of the league. Just not good. And as a team, the Rays right now are tied for second most home runs given up. They are only behind the Chicago White Sox. They have given up 71 home runs on the year. The White Sox have given up 72. So that's the biggest problem for the Rays pitching staff. The long balls bit them. It even bit them for a team like they played the Royals. I mean, the Royals have a couple boppers, but this is a slap the ball around speed type lineup. This is not a power lineup, and they're still getting bit by the long ball. So the Rays pitching staff has to do a better job keeping the ball in the yard.
Yeah, Clevenger gave up 2 walks on Saturday.
Brutal.
2 walks and a hit. So.
Yeah, and I think that was a bases loaded, no out situation, but he got out with only 1 run given up. Yeah. So he did okay to get out of it. But yeah, as for the Rays lineup, this was a really, really struggle week. I think this was the biggest struggling part of the Rays this last week. The Rays lineup, they ended up having 45 strikeouts last week to only 17 walks drawn. They had a 181 batting average as a team. And, I mean, the stars are back to struggling, unfortunately. Yandy Diaz and Randy Rosarina. Yandy Diaz had a 540 OPS last week. Randy Rosarina had a 478 OPS last week. So the Rays offense is back to struggling. I mean, when you watch these guys hit, I mean, what sticks out? Why do you think what is different from last week to this week?
I think it's the feeling in the lineup. Like the feeling right now is just unreliable. Like the expectation is that they're not going to do anything. Like for instance, when we were there on Friday, the only run we scored was on a sacrifice, and we were like, well, that's the only one run we're getting today, boys. So let's hope it works out. And look at that. It was the only run we got.
Yeah, I think runners in scoring position hitting with those.
It's been so bad this week.
I think I saw a stat that they were 6 for 38 this week with runners in scoring position.
I would believe it. Yeah.
And I would believe it too. It's just
I'm surprised it's 6 for 38. It's like, that's pretty good.
But six
for what we saw.
6 in 6 games though is the thing. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's true. That is. I think that's the biggest factor.
I think even today, for like most of the game, we were 1 for like 12.
I think we're 2 for 10.
Yeah, 2 for 10.
I mean, we were probably 0 for until that inning. Yeah, just brutal. Honestly, the Rays, the lack of hitting with runners in scoring position is just backbreaking for this lineup. I think Joel has mentioned it. It's the key to the Rays, as it's key to any baseball team, but especially the Rays when you don't have these hitters that are gonna beat you with home runs with runners and
you don't have a Marcelo Ozuna on your team who's just like randomly going to get you a 3-run home run once a week.
Yeah, I mean they're not getting big hits with runners in scoring position. They're not getting the doubles. They're not getting the home runs. Brandon Lau had a huge one, and that's what we need from Brandon Lau. Brandon Lau has to be our Marcelo Ozuna. It has to be our Pete Alonso. He has to be that guy for us. We need him to step up more than ever. This is his time. This is his moment. We need him to stay healthy. We need him today. The triple today needs to be a springing point for Brandon Lau. He is such a key to this lineup. Even last year, when we didn't have Wander Franco, when we had Brandon Lau and he was hitting, the Rays lineup hit. Brandon Lau is such a key to this lineup. I cannot stress it enough. I don't like him either. I know you guys don't like him. I know you guys get frustrated with him. But Brandon Lau is so important, and I just need to see him get going.
I want to like him. Like, I liked him. Like, the season he hit all those home runs, I liked him. I bought his shirt jersey. So I would love to like Brandon Lau. And today, I liked him. I want to like you tomorrow and the next day as well, Brandon Lau. Let's keep this going.
Yeah, so, I mean, do you think a 3-1 triple is enough to get Brandon Lau going? Do you think it, or do we need to see him pop a home run first?
No, I think a triple's good. Like, because you're feeling it out, you're running the bases, like you're in the game more. Like, if we're just kind of talking, like I think he's on the base pads, so he's feeling the feeling of hitting with a triple. And I mean, home run, you kind of toss your bat and you go back to the dugout.
Yeah, and he's got a new mustache.
I don't like it.
I kind of like it. I'm on the side.
I don't know.
It's like kind of like perched on his face.
I don't like his beard either, so I guess let's just go with the mustache.
I don't like that he's bald. I like when he had the bald spot.
Oh, he's bald now?
Yeah.
No, I do like that. It's a good. I like a buzz on a baseball player.
All right. Yeah. So looking for Brandon Lau to get hot, looking for Yandy and Randy to get hot. But I think we've said enough about these guys. We know the importance of what they do when they're hitting or when they're not hitting. They just weren't hitting last week, so we need them to get back to doing that, hitting the ball hard, not swinging and missing. If you're Randy and Yandy Diaz, we need some more impactful swings. I mean, too many times this guy is just tapping out to the pitcher. So I think a more decisive and aggressive Yandy Diaz would be huge for the Rays. As for the good for the lineup, I guess I'm seeing one. Jonathan Aranda, he got some extra base power. He was 4 for 15 last week. He had a double and a home run. What are your thoughts on Jonathan Aranda right now?
I think he could be figuring it out, but he was supposed to have figured it out last year. So it's like, come on, clock's ticking, man. We really could use this. It's like you're supposed to be the guy. Can you be the guy, please?
Do you think Jonathan Aranda has the potential to be kind of like Josh Lowe, where his first time around he struggled and he comes back this year and he's able to kind of put it together?
I mean, I would go into that and say, well, look at Josh Lowe now. So I mean, like,
he's just hurt.
I mean, wait, I think I said this in a text, but I'm gonna say it on here. If your last name is spelled Lowe, you're made of glass. Josh Lowe, Nate Lowe, Brandon Lau. Let's figure this out, guys. Let's go to the WE family or whatever and get some counseling. I don't know. So I hope he's not like Josh Lowe. Like, I hope he has some health to his game. I hope it's not just like a 1 year thing where it's like, oh, he hit 20 home runs, or look at Brandon Lau, like, oh, he hit 30 home runs. Like, I really want some consistency. Like, even if that's like hitting 260 and 20 home runs and maybe 80 RBIs, like, I'll take that. I don't need you to be an all-star.
I'll take that too. Yeah, just get well. I hope they're saying they made it a retroactive IL. They're saying there's a couple of off days coming up. Signs point to Josh Lowe hopefully just missing about 5 or 6 games. I'm hoping, just like we said with Pepio, that is the timeline. So really hoping there's no setbacks. Josh Lowe can just come back from the injured list, straight back to the Rays, and get back to hitting. Because last week on the road when he was hitting, the Rays offense was so much better. Those LOWEs, they are the keys to the Rays offense. They're LOWE, you are a key.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, they are. The big lefty batter, it just fills up our lineup so much. So, yeah, need to see it from those guys. But, yeah, Jonathan Arnott could be that guy. I do think he has potential to kind of make that Josh Lowe leap this year. It was really good to see him get extra base hits. Got a double against Boston, got a home run, a bomb. I mean, just absolute bomb against the against the Kansas City Royals, wrong blue team. So, if he's gonna get cooking, get a little warm, then that could be something for the Rays. That could be a little secret weapon for him.
Yeah, it would be nice. We need it right now.
Yeah. So I guess like we said, today is Sunday, May 26th, and you guys are gonna be listening to tomorrow. Happy Memorial Day. We hope you guys are having a safe but fun celebration on Memorial Day. Thank you guys for listening. If you're celebrating and all that good stuff, whatever. But Memorial Day is often referred to as the first big checkpoint for MLB season. So I guess we're going to kind of do a little checkpoint. So I think as of right now, we could maybe a grade. No, let's do this. Let's do a percentage chance for playoffs and just kind of overall thoughts of the thing.
All right. Chance for playoffs percentage, I'll go 63%.
I'll go 67%.
All right. We'll meet in the middle. We'll go 65.
65%.
The TB3 thought, 65.
So, I mean, yeah, we're both in the 60s. We still think this team has a good chance of making the playoffs. For me, I think the Rays have hovered around 500 all season. I think this is something that they have not played good baseball, but they still can play good baseball. I still really do believe in this roster. I think Randy Arozarena is better than the output he's been giving. I think Yandy Diaz is better than the output he's been giving. Isaac Paredes, I think he's an all-star, having a career season this year, doing a good job. I think Brandon Lau can give some good at-bats and start kind of giving those big bops that we need. And I do think these young players, I think they're going to get it going. One of Jose Caballero or Rosario, I do feel good about at the shortstop position. I think the starting pitching is just going to get better and better as these people come back. And I think people like Bradley and Pepio kind of being good to start off as young pitchers is really encouraging. I know it's Ray's bullpen. I'm not really worried about them. They nothing that they have done as of right now makes me feel less confident than I did at the start of the season. But as for lineup, that is the key factor. The players, the stars have to play better, and the young players have to kind of start filling in and doing a better job. I really do like where Richie fits in. I really do like what Cabby has been doing, Caballero, but the lineup has to do a better job filling in. I think that is your biggest concern right now if you don't think the Rays are going to make the playoffs. But as of right now, I do think that's kind of my reason why I think they have a 67% chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll stick with my 63. I think two offensive players need to be kind of over the average of productive, kind of hot at all times for the Rays to be consistently winners to where they can be in that 80 to 90 win window. And we have seen that certain times lately, but Randy Arozarena, I haven't looked at his averages lately, but the other day it was in the 100s, like the 190s. So we have to see production from guys like him. We need to see a Yandy Diaz that's more effective like we saw last year. If we could even meet in the middle somewhere, that'd be an effective Yandy Diaz. And then when you have a couple guys like that going hot, that's when you don't have to rely and put so much weight on these younger guys. And that's when the Rays are able to operate at their best potential. And that's where that 63% becomes the 85-90% chance that we were looking for coming into this season. So I put most of the weight upon the offense, as a Rays fan usually would. We live and die by our offense. So if we can get this offense to the above mediocre range that it needs to be, that's where the Rays will make it to the playoffs this year. And I was reminded the other day that the Marlins made the playoffs last year with an 84-78 win season. So it's possible to make the playoffs nowadays with the expanded playoffs, and the Rays could do it. And there's always the Cinderella people out there who are like, it could happen. The Rays could do it this year. They could do it this year. And I'm not one of those guys. We'll probably get bounced in the ALDS, but we'll put another banner up and it'll be great. So we just need a couple guys to, find their stride this season for us to be able to put up our wild card banner. That's all we're asking for. We just want another wild card banner. I want to see him go all the way across.
Oh my gosh, please, not with the wild card banners, man. I agree. The Rays made the playoffs 2022 with 86 wins. The Diamondbacks made the World Series last year. I think they were hovering around 85 to 87 wins, and I still think that number is so achievable for the Rays. They only find themselves down 2 games below 500, so they're still right in the thick of things. It feels like right now, as a Rays fan, everything has just gone wrong. You're going off a big losing streak. This is similar to kind of the one that we had in July of last year, and it just feels like everything has gone wrong. But the Rays are still in striking distance. They're still getting players back. They still have Junior Caminero, who hopefully will come up sometime in June or July. That could be a boost for this team. We're hoping and praying. So, yeah, I still feel like even as how bad and how sloppy this Rays start of the season has been, they're still in a pretty decent situation to make the playoffs.
If you were to change the way that we're looking at this, instead of going percentage, if you were to say yes or no, are the Rays going to make the playoffs? I'd say yes. I think they will. I think they're probably going to finish with 80, 84, 83 wins, and the American League could be pretty bad by then if we'd sneak in.
I still think the Rays are going to get up to 87, 88. But I still think yes.
Yeah.
Same spot.
I think going above 50% for are they going to make the playoffs? We're saying yes, they are.
Yeah, I agree. I think, so don't give up yet, Rays fans. This is a tough stretch, but we had one like this last year, and we had one like this in 2021. Long losing streaks are something the Rays seem like they do
know
frequently.
Very well.
Yeah. And there's always going to be low points in a 162 game season. That's just how baseball is. There's so many games. Even the sweep of the Rays by Boston last week, you could point that to the Rays played 13 straight games on 13 straight days against AL East teams. They traveled from the Trop to Boston to Toronto, back to the Trop. You come back, you're tired. These are human beings, they're people. So while we're watching and, you get to play baseball every day, so obviously we don't want to cut these guys too much slack, and I get that. But these guys they get fatigued, they get tired, they get mentally drained. So there's going to be ups and downs in the baseball season. This is a down, and I do really think that the Rays are going to have some really high ups headed into the second half of the season, which could be a really, really positive thing for the Rays, as it seems like when they finish hot, that's when they've been able to have their most successful season, especially like 2020. I know that's a shortened season, but whatever. But that's a shortened season. They started off kind of slow, and then they went on a tear to end the season, and they ended up having success in the playoffs. So I think there's going to be ups and downs. We still do believe, both of us, that the Rays will make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I've been in my head this season comparing this to football more and more than I usually have. And I think it was probably a post-game show where somebody called in and said it. But especially early on in the season like this is just a drive in a football game. We did a 3-and-out this week. But, maybe the next drive we'll get a touchdown. So we'll see.
Even if we're going to compare it to football, we can compare it to the Bucs, man, because the Bucs started off 4-7, and they have a lot of these low moments. Houston, bad season or bad games, really really rough stretches. 4-7, it doesn't look like they're gonna make the playoffs, and then they bang off. What was it? 4 games in a row, 5 out of the last 6 to make the playoffs. And it might have been a weaker division. They might not have made the playoffs if they were a different one, but they made it, and then they won a game. So we've already seen as Tampa Bay fans the power of getting hot towards the end of the season and how that can help you help in a playoff run, get you a win. I mean, because the Bucs right now, they're the team that got the furthest out of any Tampa team this year. And that's a crazy thing to say. I don't think any of us would have thought that going into when we started this podcast last year in July 2023, but it is, and it really comes down to the fact that they finished the season hot. So I'm really looking for a similar trajectory, maybe a rough start, but a blistering hot finish for the Rays when they get healthy and when they get their full team chemistry going.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say on this, I'm not as much of a fan of being like, oh, it's just the players are a little tired. That's all it is. I feel like that's kind of lame. What I'll say is my kind of excuse. We'll use that word. My excuse is that we're playing against another team that's trying and giving it their best, their all, and they're just better than us. Most of the American League is better than us right now, but that's okay because over a third of the American League, I think it is now, makes the playoffs.
Yeah, maybe. I still do think we're a better team than Boston. We in no way, shape, or form we should be getting swept by Boston.
I mean, Alex Cora is a pretty good manager.
He's a good manager.
He did win the World Series. So he can steer a team in the right direction.
Do we want to talk manager? Because I'm still not happy with Kevin Cash. I'm not happy with the decision he's making. And he did come out last Friday and say he was concerned with what the lineup was doing. So it just, I don't know. Some weird quotes, some weird decisions. I don't know. This hasn't been my favorite Kevin Cash year of all time.
I trust the Rays system enough to where if they wanted to go another direction, they do the right thing. So if we kind of experience something of what happened with Joe Madden, where it was just the right time for both sides to part, and Kevin Cash goes and he is the next Guardians manager after this manager they have right now inevitably fails because managers fail, I'd be okay with it.
Fair enough. And speaking of Rays system, I think a concerning trend that both of us have noticed from Rays prospects is they don't develop. A lot of Rays prospects and players they have right now are not homegrown prospects. I mean, you look at the lineup, you can go down the list. Isaac Paredes, Ben Rortvedt, Yandy Diaz, Randy Rosarina, Johnny DeLuca, Jose Siri, Richie Palacios, and then you go back to pitching, Shane Baz, Eflin, Savali, Pepio, a bunch of Adam, Fairbanks, most your homegrown. I mean, there's not many homegrown guys on this Rays roster, and unfortunately, the homegrown guys have seemed to not really succeed. I mean, we talked about Aranda kind of starting to turn the corner a little bit. Would be nice to see him get going. Curtis Mead really flopped when he came up to the MLB this year. It was a really rough watch, unfortunately. Austin Shenton, he's not homegrown, but just these prospects that are coming up are not excelling to the rate that I think a lot of Rays fans and even the Rays front office would hope.
Yeah, it is. It's something I've noticed for probably the whole time that they've been the Rays, not the Devil Rays, but outside of the stretch, probably the last time that there was a string of success was the Longoria, Price, and I think there was another guy in there as well.
Hold up.
It's Longoria, Price, and somebody else. But that was
Tim Beckham. Oh, never mind.
That wasn't it. No, anyways. So that was I think that was 07, 08. That was their draft. No,
yeah, you're right. Never mind.
06, 07. And that's an interesting thing. We'll lead with that. Tim Beckham, the beginning of the end for the Rays drafting success.
Yeah.
Because we got, think about it. We had, James Shields, Rocco Baldelli, Carl Crawford, Evan Longoria, David Price. Those were slam dunk picks. And then Tim Beckham. We picked, just to remind you Rays fans, just to, pick at that wound, we picked Tim Beckham instead of Buster Posey. And from that day, I feel like the Rays have lost all their confidence in drafting that you could have had. And now we're sitting here today. What is this? 16 years later from that Tim Beckham draft. And we're looking at this and we're saying, holy cow, the Rays have not been drafting well. We trade well. We're the best. I'll say we're the best team trading wise in the league, but our drafting is maybe the worst. Maybe the worst. I mean, for the sake of having a conversation, we might be the worst drafting team in baseball.
It's not a crazy take because you look since Tim Beckham, the only person right now that really rings any bells. I mean, Ryan Stanek was an opener, a solid reliever, but I'm assuming you drafted him in the first round. You're hoping that guy's a dynamite starter. Josh Lowe, jury's still out on him. I think we do like what we saw last year, and we're hoping to see it come to fruition, but he's still not a slam dunk pick. And I mean, even these overseas prospects that were signed, unfortunately, I mean, Wander Franco was pretty successful from the get-go. Fortunately, we know how that worked out for us. So that's not much to know about. But, I mean, just in general, when the Rays have prospects in Durham, and I see they're doing good in Durham, I just don't get excited about their MLB future right now because it's just they haven't shown the ability to translate success in Durham up to the major leagues. And I don't know whose fault that is. I don't know if it's anyone's fault, if it's just bad luck. But it's getting to a point where if you're going to be the Rays and you're going to make all these trades, you're going to manipulate service time, you're going to get rid of people before you pay them a big contract, you've got to be able to develop prospects well. And they're not doing that right now. And that's kind of right now where I'm seeing kind of them sputtering, especially their lineup, is the prospects that were supposed to come up and help are not helping right now.
Yeah, and I think that's the way that they've built this team is that they put more of the focus, more of the staff energy in the front office on kind of keeping their eye outs for the other farm systems. And honestly, it's in a way it is smart to put more of your eggs in a basket for looking at other teams where the player's maybe 3 or so years more established than he was maybe out of high school or maybe out of college. And that's why we kind of put that focus on trading in the minor leagues. But I mean, it's not fun. Like I'd rather be excited about that guy coming up for 6 years instead of reading about some how did Blake Snell say it back in the day?
Oh, we can't say that on the show.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I'm like,
inappropriate.
I was like, as I'm hearing it in my mind, I'm like, I think there is a word there. So,
family-friendly podcast.
I won't say it, but if you know what he said that, and that's kind of the feeling that, like, a similar feeling that I would have with some of these trades. It's like we just traded Evan Longoria for that guy or something in the same thought process. So. But, I mean, we have seen it work. Like, as we've said, most of our team right now is built off of that Rays system where we're trading to get that prospect that has some service time in the minor leagues.
Yeah, it feels like we can't develop these people. I mean, I think the best players that the Rays have traded for, even young players, have been just about to come up, and then the Rays get them. I mean, Johnny DeLuca has come up and played pretty well. He spent a little bit of time in Durham. Most of his time was spent in the Dodgers system, and he's come up ready to play. Isaac Paredes, he played a little bit in the majors before we got him. He was in the minor leagues, ready to come up and play. The Rays bring him up from the minors. He spends a little bit of time in Durham the first kind of half of 2022. He comes up, he does good. Randy Rosarina, same thing. Cardinals, he's in that system. He comes to the Rays, traded in 2020. He comes up, he does well with minimal time in Durham. So a lot of these young guys that are star players on our team, unfortunately, we're not the ones developing them through the draft and through our different farm teams. So I think it's just a kind of a trend that I've been seeing, and I just want to mention it. I don't know. I don't think we know enough about baseball prospects to really get into it and how scouting and stuff like that works. But we do know a lot of Rays baseball. We do know that the prospects, especially this year, have been disappointing. I mean, just flat out.
And I'll clean up what I said a little bit. I'm just kind of thinking of more players in my head. So Blake Snell, he was drafted in 2010, and I apologize, he was drafted in 2011, and then Kevin Kiermaier was drafted in 2010. So see what you want with those guys. That's up for your interpretation. But those are some noteworthy Rays players who were drafted by the team. So even saying that, though, 2011, 13 years ago was one of the last ones that a casual fan like me can say, hey, that was a pretty good draft.
Brandon Lau was drafted by the Rays.
Yeah,
let me see. Interpret that.
That one again, another one that was.
That's probably what, 14, 15?
Yeah, so it's still something that we've fallen off of in the last however many years, 2015. So the last 9 years, like we're having a hard time thinking of these guys.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see.
Wait a second. Now, I mean, I'm on the rabbit trail right now.
Oh,
all right, when did we lose Andrew Friedman? Because is this
interesting.
Is this something that kind of Andrew Friedman might have had more of a hand on?
That's interesting.
I think he left. So he took the job in 2015 for the Dodgers. So
so you're saying Eric Neander doesn't know how to draft as much as he knows how to trade? That's not a crazy thing.
In this conversation, like I'm kind of like taking layers off this onion. I'm like, wait a second. So maybe we should hold back some of the flowers that we've been giving guys like Eric Neander.
Yeah, interesting. It's just interesting to kind of play around and figure that out because, I mean, yeah, it's a glaring problem. If you're not going to keep your stars and pay them, you got to have a dang good farm system. And, I mean, I think Junior has a potential. He's a number 3 prospect in baseball right now. He has Junior Caminero has a potential to become that star that kind of Wander Franco was. I really do. But if he comes up and struggles, then, I mean, it's a whole we're keep going down that rabbit trail because it's just, I don't know, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see all these guys.
Yeah,
and I mean, Franco wasn't even Franco was like an easy signing.
Yeah, because he was probably someone we signed out of the Dominican Republic, right? Yeah, so he wasn't high school or a draft.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that they're looking at. They probably have people like established down there, or not necessarily established, but they have people that kind of keep track of those players.
Oh, for sure, they for sure do. Yeah. Do we got anything else on this?
Here, let me just go through some of the guys that we drafted. We were like, oh yes, this is the guy. This is our savior. All right, so Brent Honeywell, like he was supposed to be the guy. Like it was like we were talking about him back in the day. It was like this guy could be the next, like, spitting image of Cy Young. Like, this is him.
Unfortunately, just the injuries.
Yeah, injuries. And then what was the guy that could hit and pitch? No,
Brandon McKay.
That was kind of the same thought process. He was the next guy that was going to be able to do it. And then the aforementioned Tim Beckham, potentially one of the first signs of this system breaking. And for some of the older fans out there, I guess I should. I mean, this is a problem that the Rays have had, like, just not knowing their system. In hindsight is a gift. But, like, trading Bobby Abreu for like a bullpen guy, like, that was one of those moments that was not the best for us. And there are others as well. But that one, off the top of my head, that one is, even for a younger guy like me who was in diapers when that happened, that one stings even today. And then one of the guys who was supposed to be the catcher of the future. This guy was going to make us forget the Buster Posey thing even ever happened. And you know the name. Nick Ciuffo. Oh yeah, he was it. He was the guy. Nick Ciuffo. If you don't remember him, you can look him up on Wikipedia. Don't forget about Reed Brignac. He was supposed to be the shortstop of the future. And you know that one didn't happen. But it's okay. It's okay. All of this is okay because we have a guy named Chris Betts right now in the minor leagues. Don't know his name, but that was just as we were doing research for this, his name came up. He might be the catcher of the future.
So what we said about Alex Jackson. Man, that
guy is not good. Did we say that about Alex Jackson?
I don't know. Some people were kind of hyping him up. I don't know.
All right, just keep your ears out for Chris Betts.
That guy's been in the minors for like 6 years. I don't think he's coming up to.
He's being seasoned.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because the Rays catching so good right now, we don't need it.
Gosh, Rays catching. That's a black hole too, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, just you look at 2021 Mike Zunino, best Rays catching season ever, was not replicated. I mean, Mike Zunino was decent, had some pop, but man.
I mean,
why did we let Travis d'Arnaud walk?
Because of the man I'm about to bring up. Just in case you feel like you need a vent, just remember to channel your dissatisfaction towards Stu. Like, this is the life of the Rays fan. and you go back in the family tree of our drafts and our trades, and you see some of those places where we hit and we missed, and all of that happens because we're not willing to keep guys around like Carl Crawford and Jason Bartlett. Ooh, I'm going back to the olden days, and David Price, all those kind of guys. Like we could have been something special if it wasn't for the tight pockets of a guy like Stu Sternberg.
That's unfortunate, but it's life as a Rays fan. So, speaking of life as a Rays fan, if we're good, I can preview some baseball games.
Yeah,
all right.
good.
So yeah, that's our little rabbit trail. The Florida Panthers lost 5-4 in overtime.
Let's go. Stinking little brothers. I hate
Little
you.
brothers never winning a Stanley Cup. But yeah, the Rays, like we mentioned, if you want us to talk more about Rays history, I think we've always kind of wanted to do maybe like a YouTube video or like a separate podcast for it. Leave a comment down below talking about, especially Joel. Joel knows his stuff. Joel, if we want us to talk more about Rays history and kind of like trends like that, because it really is interesting to see how the drafting has declined since Andrew Friedman has been gone.
Yeah, that's a conversation. I want to bring that up to some other guys in the sports industry, see what they think.
Yeah. But as of right now, we can only focus on the 2024 Rays, as they're going to have 6 games this week. Memorial Day is off, so enjoy your party without watching any Rays
I hate when
baseball.
they have off days on holidays. Like, come on, baseball. Can
I mean,
we schedule it to where all 30 teams are playing on Memorial Day and 4th of July?
I think they do that for 4th of July.
They do a better job
It's
for
Labor
4th of
Day.
July.
Labor Day and
Memorial Day. They sometimes slip on it. And it's
Yeah.
like, come on.
That is
Everybody's
interesting.
home from work, and they want to tune into some baseball, and you're like, sorry, we're off.
But you get to enjoy your holiday without having to worry about the Rays doing something dumb.
Well, I mean, they won today, so give them a little bit of a break.
Maybe, but man, that 6-game losing streak was rough. But they're back in action Tuesday against the Oakland Athletics. Their first game's against them. Like Joel mentioned earlier, not as bad of a team as you would think. They've been kind of hitting the ball. They are 22-33, so not a great record. But
They slipped early on in the season.
They were around 500.
Early on in the season, they were a couple games up at one point.
Yeah, but I mean that's still only like a couple games back of us, really.
Yeah.
So 3 games at the Trop. First game is going to be Zach Littell versus, I don't know this guy's name, Mitch Spence. 4 ERA on the season. Young pitcher, I'm assuming. Then Wednesday is going to be an undecided, so probably Tyler Alexander versus Joey Estes for the Oakland Athletics. It's 7.47 ERA. So let's punish some of these pitching, Rays. And then on Thursday, day game, 1:10, the Rays are going to have Ross Stripling versus undecided. Ross Stripling for the Athletics. I don't know why we're undecided here. I'm assuming that's going to be... I don't know who I'm assuming. Pepio? One of those games is going to be Pepio. One of those games is going to be Alexander. Just know that. And then after that, the Rays on the weekend head over to Baltimore. Their first game is against the Orioles of the year. Their first game on Friday night, May 31st, will be Aaron Tavalli versus an undecided pitcher for the Orioles. Then on Saturday, they're going to have Taj Bradley versus Kyle Bradish. That's a good pitching matchup. That's a 4:05 game on Saturday. Man, 4 o'clock games on Saturday. I hate it. And then 1:35 Sunday, Zach Littell is going to play against Cole Irvin, who's had a really good season to start. So that's 6 games. 3 at home, 3 on the road. A's, Athletics. Joel, what's your record prediction?
I'm debating on which side I'm going to feed, the negative side or the positive side of my Rays heart.
Interesting.
I guess I'm between 2-4 and 3-3.
Okay.
I'll go a little bit positive. I'll go 3-3.
Man, I was going to go 3-3.
You can go 2-4 if you. I can go 2-4.
You know what? I'll go 2-4. I just don't like the way the Rays are playing, and hopefully they're going to prove me wrong. But I'm going to say 2-4, and I'm going to say home run Brandon Lau, baby. Brandon Lau, ding dong.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick. I'll go. I apologize. As you've seen throughout this podcast, I know my 2014 Rays way better than I know my 2024 Rays. I'll go Joey. No, sorry, Johnny. What's his last name?
DeLuca. Johnny DeLuca. I like that pick.
All right.
Hey, names are hard, man.
DeLuca.
Don't feel bad about that. It's names, man. You'll get it. Yeah. He's only been up for like 2 weeks.
Johnny DeLuca.
Johnny DeLuca. Go, Johnny, go.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. This was All Rays. Next week, if you guys are looking forward to episode 41, I think we're going to do a little college football, a little post-spring update for all 3 of your major Tampa teams, along with Rays baseball. So if you're on YouTube, hit the like button, comment your grade of the Rays season thus far, and maybe a little breakdown of it. Share the video with a friend. Spotify, hit the follow button, hit the 5 stars, please and thank you. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and have a good night, guys.